Welcome back to another episode of The Gold Room. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have the long-lost Eric Hill coming back for another episode with us. Thanks very much, Hilly.
Great to be back with you, JC. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
It's good.
And we've got Mick from Rickland Training and Emergency Management Safety.
Yeah, pleasure to be here, mate.
Beautiful, mate. Well, mate, we always start off with the life and the times. So kick us off with the life and the times of Mick.
Okay, well, born and bred in a little town called Berry, South Australia, on the Murray River. We call it the Riverland. 6 or 7 towns all grouped into one. Beautiful little spot to grow up in. It was a good era back then, obviously, and I'm sure people of my era will agree with times were different back then. But look, Dad was Greek, Mum was Australian, so the fruit growing industry was pretty big within our family. So I grew up on a fruit property. It was a combination of grapes and apricots was the main part of it. So it was a pretty good lifestyle, very carefree with
Getting into the grappa at a young age?
Well, it wasn't at a young age, but I got to watch the old man and uncles and that. They loved it. It was always the morning coffee was always a thick black Greek coffee and some grappa for sure.
Yeah, beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
but I got to
Good way to
appreciate
start
that later. Got to appreciate that later in life, obviously. But look, it was. I got a bit of both worlds, I guess. Mum being Australian and Dad being Greek, so I got to grow up in the Australian culture and obviously the Greek culture. Greeks are very, very generous people, so it was quite interesting. So, look, I did primary school at Berry, secondary school was at Glossop High School. A lot of my 2 boys that have grown up now hated school, hated it with a passion. So I was always going to be a hands-on person. So I didn't finish year 11. I bailed before that. And
that's all right, so did I.
15? Were you 15, Mick?
Yeah, well, I didn't have my licence when I left. So, yeah, back then it would have been 15, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Common trend.
It is, absolutely, yeah. So I actually did work experience, as we called it over there, and I did a job with a guy, Alfie Raider, and he was an electric motor rewinder. So I went and did...
Well, there's a trade from the past.
Yeah, it's very different now, the electric motor rewinding.
Yep.
But
Only for the big motors now that they're rewinding anything under 185.
They throw them away.
Yep,
and buy new ones. And that was actually even happening back in my time back there in the early 80s. So, yeah. But I did work experience with him over Christmas, and obviously I must have impressed him because he offered me an apprenticeship. So, and that's sort of a funny story there in itself. I was talking to Hilly over the earlier on about how that led me into getting a job underground. But look, I did my trade with him, stayed with him for roughly 7 years. And
awesome, that's a good effort.
Yeah. Like, as I say, as my young guy now, you know, I've said to him, you're doing an apprenticeship, once you got your trade, honour it, give him 1 or 2 years before you move on somewhere else, you know. Yeah. So I stayed with Alfie, and then I ended up working for I moved over and changed my trade altogether and become just an electrician for a company called...
Just an electrician, come on.
Mate, there's no such thing as just a Sparky.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time, Hilly, since I've been a Sparky, so I might do a few little bits here and there, but not much anymore.
Just to keep the eye in?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit lazy these days. I pay somebody to come in and do bits and pieces for me.
Yeah. But, and so your apprenticeship and your time after that, was that still in Berry, Mick?
Yeah, so look, it was. So I became an electrician for berry fruit juices. You guys have probably seen.
Wow. Definitely.
You would have seen the orange juice with berry written all over it. Yeah. And that was a pretty cool job. You know, I really enjoyed it. I actually dropped money to become an electrician as opposed to electric motor rewinder, believe it or not. But stayed with that and, stayed around the town there for a while, and that sort of led me into eventually moving over to Kalgoorlie. So
that's a big change.
That's a huge change. What brought that on?
Well, look, I did like my time there, but a good mate of mine, he moved across to Kalgoorlie, and these are boys I went to school with, played footy with, and we did all the bits and pieces. And because of the time difference there in South Australia, daylight saving, there was 2.5 hours difference. So these boys in Kalgoorlie would ring me up at all hours of the night. So it'd be like midnight here, but it'd be 2:30 in the morning there, and they'd be full of terps and telling me how good a time they're having and the money that they're actually earning. Yeah. And they wore me down. So at that stage I said, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. So
how old were you, Mick?
Oh, gee, I think at that stage I would have been 23.
Yep.
Yeah. So, not the wisest head, but I was always always been a spontaneous person, and that's something that also drives my partner crazy because, I don't like to plan a lot. I'm more at go itself. But packed up, had an old F100 and a caravan and towed it across, and it was an adventure on itself, So turned up here with not a lot of money, and the boys were working underground today at 4KC Gym at that stage at Mount Charlotte. And they said, look, get over here, and the South Australian boys have got a good reputation over here. You should be able to get a job. And pretty much that's what happened,
Yeah,
So you brought your caravan across, and you would have stayed in the one of the Kalgoorlie caravan parks.
Yeah.
What were they like at the time?
in the 80s.
Look, it was an awesome lifestyle. Everything was so carefree. Kalgoorlie itself, and to be honest with you, Kalgoorlie itself, I didn't even, I knew nothing of it. My cousin and a good mate of mine in 1987 when we were the America's Cup over here in Fremantle, we were in the front bar at the Brewery Hotel, and we having a few beers, and we said, you know what, let's go to the Cup. So, and this sort of leads into how we got here, but I brought an old HT Holden for $150. And
Man after my own
I
heart.
put new timing gear in it. That old HT Holden probably worth $40,000 nowadays.
Yeah, definitely.
And had a bit of rust in it, so we bogged it up and off we went. And we actually drove through all the way, but we got to Coolgardie and turned left. Never came to Kalgoorlie, and I sort of regret that a little bit. I could have been across a little bit earlier, So
okay.
that's what got it. That's what more or less got us over here.
Across.
Yeah. No, it was pretty cool.
And so you come into Kalgoorlie and, did you start with KCGM straight away or
I did. Look,
as an electrician?
No, not at all. Since I left Berry, I haven't been an electrician since.
Oh, okay.
So I used to do a lot of cashies for the guys underground, putting ceiling fans up and things like that. But
Yeah.
no, we. I left. I think it was just after Easter. Took about 4 days to wander across, and I think that week I turned up. I had a job by the Thursday. But
Wow.
Awesome.
as I was saying to Hilly, where the guys were working, there was a foreman there, old Ray Watts. He was a very hard man, but he was fair. You knew where you stood with him. And as part of that, the boys said, look, come up and see Wattsy. So I went up and seen him, and when we started talking to him, he asked what I'd been doing before. And I told him that my previous job I was electric motor rewinder. But old Ray, bless his soul, he's not with us anymore. I think he thought I was saying I was a winder driver.
Oh, true.
So
I can imagine.
He said to me, I can give you a job doing that now if you like. I said, Ray, no, I don't want to do it anymore. So he said, all right, I'll start you underground. So to this day, I'm pretty adamant that's what got me underground was that bit of miscommunication. So, I went underground and...
Did you enjoy your time underground, Mick?
Loved it.
Yep.
Loved it.
Yeah, okay.
I spent just shy of 8 years underground. But
Did you work your way up?
Yeah, look, Mount Charlotte was a little bit different. It's not like a lot of other sites. So, jumbo operators and guys like that, they never left. They'd have to retire or unfortunately die before you could advance. But how I did move my way out was a little bit sneaky, actually. I still laugh every now and again. Like
I can see you starting to grin when you start this story, so I know something's coming pretty good.
I started, my first job, believe it or not, was on the cage. So I was like, ladies' underwear, second floor, third floor, menswear. So I was taking guys up and down, and look, that was how it was. But then I got into the cable bolting side of it. I enjoyed that because it was no machines then, it was all by
Heavy
hand.
lifting.
Yeah, so it was
Oh,
very
like
physical.
with an air leg.
No. So we would turn up the guys that already have the holes bored,
Yep.
and then be a crew of three. So we'd have twin strand, 15-metre cables, and we'd set them up, and we'd be working out of a platform, and we'd push them up the holes. So we'd push those up, and then come in and we'd grout them. So it was all hands on, but I didn't mind about that. It was pretty good. So
Would
I
have
did
kept
that
you
for a
fit,
while.
right?
Oh, it was awesome.
Were you playing footy in Cow at the time?
I never played footy when I come over here.
Okay.
Give that away. I actually give it up before I come across. I had a couple of knee injuries, and as you get to that stage where your job and your sport there's a bit of a conflict at some stage for not good reasons,
Yeah.
But did that, and then a few other bits and pieces. But where I say it's funny is we had a foreman that worked for us, and he was a hard nut, not very well respected at all. And all the supervisors were literally shit scared of him, Anyway, every day when you come in, there'd be a board, and it'd have all the jobs and everyone's names, where you're supposed to be and what you're doing for the shift. And the foreman at that stage, I said, look, chase me to overtime. I'm happy to come in and operate the loader. And I didn't have a ticket for it. I hadn't been passed out, but he just needed the job done, so he let me do it. So I did that for about 4 weekends. And I come in one day and I was looking at the board and there was a bloke on that. It was development bogging. He was on that. And I wasn't. So I was there a little bit early. I was having a cup of coffee, looking at the board, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to swap our names. So I got his name and I put it on my job and I got his and put it up there.
Brilliant.
Now, how it panned out is a shift boss come in, he looked at it and he thought, oh, shit, Mick's actually been doing those on weekends. Maybe the foreman wants him to do that job.
Yep.
And this was on night shift, so I did it, and I'm laughing the whole shift. It was great, you know. Come up there.
And what happened to the other fella?
Well, he was pissed. He wasn't happy at all. He wouldn't talk to me for about 2 weeks, you know.
Did you tell him? You told him what you'd done?
No, I didn't tell him.
Still
Didn't tell
to
him
this
until I
day.
left. Yeah, but get up in the morning, come up from underground, and I'll see the foreman standing. I thought, oh shit, here we go. I'm busted, you know. And walked past him, and he said, "Oh, good shift." I said, "Great shift, mate." So the foreman must have thought that the shift boss swapped me, and the shift boss thought that the foreman swapped me. I kept that job until I finished my time underground. So I promoted myself, mate.
Yeah,
It was awesome.
well,
beautiful. You got to
make
back
your-
yourself, mate, don't you?
Yeah.
Bloody oath.
I quite often laugh about that. But yeah, look, that was the last thing I did when I left there. You know, it was funny. The old man, he come across for holidays a few times, and the old Greeks are very not superstitious, but funny about things like that. You know, so he wasn't real happy when I left to come over here.
No.
But once he was an adventurous himself. You know, like he jumped ship many years ago in Adelaide when he come across. So he sort of understood it towards the end. But yeah, he was, you know, I was the only boy in the family, 3 daughters, so he wasn't very happy about that, you know. But he sort of understood it towards the end, but had to do it. Loved the underground, but different era back then. You know, Hilly, you probably understand that. You're a bit younger than us. But
Yeah, and I only
He
arrived.
just said I was old.
He did. He called me young, which my grey hair tells a different story. But I only arrived in Cal in January 2013.
Yeah.
So, you know, my mining career only started then.
Yeah. But I mean, look, it was fun times, you know.
They were pretty carefree times.
Absolutely, you know, like I appreciate the safety and all of that now, you know, but what we're teaching people to do now is what we didn't do back then, you know. But it was crazy. Like when I first started, you go to work with just short sleeve t-shirt on, no safety glasses, nothing, you know. It was insane.
That's the term. That's where the term "written in blood" comes from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you know, unfortunately, there's been incidents and accidents that have ended up with these regulations in place and the safety that we have from those times.
Yeah, look, like I said, my company that I started up, we bounce off that side of it, you know. So I probably got to be a little bit careful.
Mick? Sorry.
So I left underground June, July 1997.
Okay.
And I went straight into, I got Rickland up and running as a subcontractor.
Oh,
so
right, yeah.
when I started underground, straight away, they do an intake each year for mine rescue members for the team.
Awesome,
so I,
Mick. I was just about to ask you, you know, how did you actually get into mines rescue in the first place?
Yeah, look, so, you know, I was very green when I come across. I didn't even know anything about mining whatsoever. But one of my shift bosses at that stage, Paul McCreed, he was heavily involved in the mine rescue, the emergency response teams. So when I was on the cage, he'd be coming up and down with me and we'd talk about bits and pieces. And he said, there's an intake coming. So I put my name in and I didn't get selected straight away. And Paul's in the cage one day. I said, oh, mate, I've missed out. And he said, oh, shit. He said, oh, let me go and have a look. So he went and had a look at the list that got accepted. And there was one bloke in there that was, he was an interesting character, let's say. And Paul didn't rate him. So he said, it's all good, I'll sort it out. So unfortunately, he got kicked that guy, and Paul got me in, and I admire Paul for that to this day, you know. So I started, I did probably just shy of 8 years in the emergency response team, and I loved it.
At Mount Charlotte?
At Mount Charlotte,
Yeah, right, okay.
Absolutely loved it. You know, it was. I couldn't believe that we get paid on Saturdays to go underground and practice fighting fires and cutting cars up. It was insane, you know. So
BA, BG4.
Oh, it was
There's a lot
awesome.
that goes into it.
Yeah. I always loved the underground components, you know, the BG, but cutting up cars and things like that was always good.
Yep.
Hascam, as you would know, you've done training with us, Josh, is probably the least popular one. But
I
it's a
enjoyed it,
necessity.
you know, like getting into that sweatsuit, you
Oh,
know.
you're a sick puppy. I enjoyed teaching it because I didn't have to do it anymore. But But look, I did that for, like I said, just shy of 8 years.
Okay.
And there was a company that used to do a lot of training. We do courses through, and that was called the Institute of Emergency Response Services. It was a pommy bloke, Fred Richardson, that ran that. And
A bloke in Kalgoorlie, like the company was in Kalgoorlie, or were they come up from Perth?
From Perth, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All our trainers back then all came from Perth.
Yeah.
And so because we entered in a lot of the competitions, so we do them here locally, and then we go over east to Bendigo and Wollongong, things like that. And we were quite a successful team, which was good. And I was a team leader for a number of years of that, and a lot of success come from that. So Fred hit me up to see if I wanted to become an instructor. So I sort of hummed and hawed for a little while, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a crack, because I'm always that sort of person that thinks if you don't give it a go and you procrastinate, I hate procrastinators, it drives me insane.
You'll never know.
Yeah, that's right. You know, I'd rather have a go at something and in 6 months or 2 years, no good, you can go back to what you're good at.
That's right.
Or rather than in 5 years' time, see someone else has done what you should have done,
Yeah,
and they become
that's exactly
successful.
right.
You know.
Yeah.
We actually had a.
Can't say no.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Never
Just
say-
it's saying yes. It's you got to say yes. Give it a crack.
Well, my philosophy, and this is what I tell all the girls that answer the phone at Rickland in Perth and Gow, is never say never.
Yep.
Because if we don't do it, someone else is going to pick it up. So, but yeah, so he approached me, and so I climbed on board with Fred, and I stayed with him for about 5 years, and I set up the Kalgoorlie side of it for him because he didn't have a lot of clients and that there. And because I came from that field, you know, I could really relate to all the team members. So it was actually really enjoyable. It was like not being hands-on anymore, but the reward was watching the results you got from teaching the guys.
Yep.
So I stayed with him for about 5 years, loved every bit of it. You know, I wasn't home very often and travelled around. But he got brought out by a multinational company called the Williams Group, and they were Quell and Chubb and all those guys. So when he got brought out, he was happy. He ran away with all his money. But the guy that took over, me and him clashed big time.
Okay.
And he was based in Sydney, I think, from memory. So every 2 days, all me and him would do was just argue. I hated his philosophy, hated his business plans.
It must have been harder for him running it, or trying to run it remotely as well. He's just not having that on the ground.
Yeah, I don't think that helped him. I think if he'd come across and understood us a little bit more.
Yeah. Yep.
But he didn't have a background in it as well, which I think was a big mistake for him, you know, because he
definitely.
didn't understand what it was all about. So, I resigned, and they weren't happy about it.
1997.
No, this is now 2002.
Okay.
And I went out completely solo. So
So was it called Rickland? What year was it
So-
started as Rickland?
I'd love to know when it started, and I'd love to know what Rickland means, how you got that name.
All right. So, look, as a subby, I started off as just Rickland Proprietary Limited.
Yep.
Okay. Where Rickland comes from is my two eldest kids. So
Ah,
the
right,
RIK is my daughter Ricky,
Yep.
and the LAN is my eldest lad Dylan. So I just put the two together.
Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
10 years later, I still laugh about this because we had the young fella bluff for a while. My third kid turned up, which was Kane, my son, and he used to say to me, "Dad, where's my part in that name?" And I used to say to him, "See the K in the middle there? That's you." And I had him bluff for a while, and then towards the end he'd say, "You're full of shit, Dad." So, yeah, that's where that name come from. Then in 2002, when I went completely solo, that's when we become Rickland Emergency Management Services, and we went out on our own. So, but you know that was interesting times too, because as you can appreciate, the legalities that was thrown at me by going out, it was pretty tough.
Yep.
But we got through that, and all I really wanted to do, to be quite honest with you, I just wanted to work 10 days a month and do the rest of it just a bit of a professional development and look at things. But within 3 months, I had my first full-time instructor working for me. Probably a month after that, I had another one, and it's gone ballistic. So I opened up my first training centre in Kalgoorlie in 2004, and then 2013 we opened up our first one in Perth. So and it's just gone international, national. It's been a crazy
International?
ride. Yeah, international, yeah.
Wow.
Been to some amazing places, Josh, and
Awesome.
and been fortunate enough to get paid for it. The boys do it now. Unless there's a good one, I'll put my hand up. And say,
I
"I'm taking that."
remember Kurt. So go into Kurt after this, but I remember Kurt telling me a story about going to Mongolia.
Yep.
And said it was just what an experience.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, look, it is. And that's how you got to take it. You know, I've had a few boys over the years that are a little bit hesitant and don't want to do it, and I respect that, you know. But some of these places you go to, you know, Indonesia, I've been to, Africa, I've been to Ghana, Mauritania, Burkina Faso.
Awesome.
Been to Finland.
Wow. Yeah, okay.
Probably the most interesting one. Oh, Canada. Love Canada. Absolutely love that. I've had 3 stints over there. But Kazakhstan. I did a 3-week stint in Kazakhstan. And that was amazing, actually. But I don't know about you guys. The only thing I knew about Kazakhstan was Borat. 100%. 100%. But, and that's funny because there was an expat there and he said to me, don't talk about Borat.
Are you not allowed?
No, they don't like it.
Really? Because he's taking the piss.
100% he was. 100%. Yeah. But that was an amazing trip. I did a 3-week trip over there doing an audit for a company called Cas Minerals. So 9 different sites.
Auditing their ERT teams or
yeah.
safety protocols.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And,
So what
awesome.
services do Rickland, provide for the mining industry?
Yeah. So what we did, Hilly, when I first started, there was probably 6 main courses that we did, which was just for the emergency response. And they were the courses, Josh, that you basically did with us as well. So I did that for a period of time. And as I said to you before, the philosophy is never say never. So we, when I open up the first training centre, we get people ring up and say, do you do a forklift course? And for a little while, that girl say, no, we don't. And in the end, I said, you know what, if they're ringing up, there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
And so I said, next time someone rings, don't say no. And so what we've done with a lot of them, the forklift, EWPs, all those sort of courses, if we don't do it, I'll find someone that can come and do it for me.
Sure.
And that's pretty much what I did.
Cert 4, trainer and assessor, mate.
That's right. So all of those add-ons that we've got, I think we peaked at about 100 different nationally accredited courses on our scope. But within the last couple of years, we've trimmed some of those back.
Yep.
And it's grown, from high-risk licences to first aid. There's a number of courses there. And we're actually, Kurt and I were having a chat this morning, hence from a meeting yesterday, we got a couple more that we're going to put on scope as well. Awesome. So it's there, you've got to go with it. So, but it's not just that, Hilly, we also do labour hire.
Okay.
So we supply
like
ESOs, Matics and that.
Sure.
And Ali, my partner, who's also my general business manager, she's got a background in the labour hire side of it. So we set up a sentry division. So we're talking during shutdowns.
Yeah, what a great idea.
Yeah, we supply sentries to go out in the field and look after the guys that are in the confined spaces, and that's grown and grown. It's just been crazy, But and from that, we've sort of gone out into confined space rescue as well. So we've got about 4 jobs on the go at the moment where people are doing jobs and they want us to come and be on standby as a rescue team. So there's a lot there,
Jeez, that's
HR
really,
licenses, it's huge. It just goes on and on.
Yeah, it's all about risk mitigation, isn't it?
Pretty
Whether
much.
it's training or actually having people on the ground there.
Yeah.
And Mick, do you do any hardware or tooling like ropes or any of the stuff that are actually make up emergency rescue or?
In regards to what, Hilly?
I say rescue kits or
as in do we supply and sell them?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we've sold rope rescue equipment through to vehicle extrication equipment. We've sold VX tools into Africa. We sold breathing apparatus. So, yeah, we do. But it's not our core side of it.
No.
But it complements pretty much what we actually do.
Yep.
And if the client wants it, we'll quote on it.
Like a one-stop shop.
Yeah, we like to be that to a certain degree, but there's things we don't like. If there's a mine site that's starting up from scratch and they ring up, I'm very cautious about this, and I'm sure you probably get this, Josh, with your line of work as well. We could spend days putting a list together of the equipment and getting quotes on it, and you send it out. And the first thing they do when they get that list?
Send it out.
They send it to everybody else. We've done all the hard work. We've supplied everything they need.
All the due diligence and
100%. And then 30 in line will say, we'll beat it by 10%. And then bang,
exactly right.
you've done all that work for someone else to get the job. So we're a little bit cautious on that. I know that's the nature of the beast, but it does get frustrating,
Yep. Yeah, okay.
Sure does.
Sure.
Mick, you've picked up some bloody big awards over the years, haven't you? You want to go into a bit of that?
Oh, look, I'm generally not in it for accolades, but I've been fortunate enough to be in places where we've achieved some good I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Results, I guess that's it, Hilly. Yeah. But the emergency response side obviously has been was more passion for sure. So we at KCGM we won a huge amount of competitions, and because I had a good team with me 3 years in a row, I was fortunate enough to take out the best captain for that as well.
Good work,
brilliant.
And I actually enjoyed that. I really did, you know.
Yeah.
And then roll into curriculum, I guess, we've won some awards along the way with that, you know, so far as Business of the Year with the Chamber, and I still laugh at it, you know. I won the Business Person of the Year.
You didn't go and change your name for someone else's, did you?
No. But I won the Business Person of the Year in Kalgoorlie.
I heard I was runner-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't live that one down. That ship boss, if he gets listening, he'll know exactly what I do.
Beautiful, mate. Well, we'll make sure it gets to him.
But yeah, look, I look at that now, and we're all in the same boat. I look back to my school days, you know, and I would love to see the look on some of my school teachers' faces to see where I
you ended, what
I ended up
achieved.
doing. Yeah, it's quite
fantastic.
funny, you know. But
I think all my school teachers would say if they ever come across this, nothing's changed. He's still talking shit.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, when you look back like that? Oh, look, some of them might say, you know what, good on him, but others will say, how the hell did he do that? You know, but I guess it runs in the family a bit, because I remember my eldest lad at high school, he got himself in a little bit of trouble because he didn't like the teacher and he didn't like the subject. So when they were having that lesson that day, he picked up his whole table and chair and took it outside and sat out there for the whole lesson. Okay. And I got a phone call that day that they weren't really impressed. And I said, "What are you doing, mate?" And he said, "I didn't enjoy it, Dad, so I'm not going to do it." So he didn't even finish 10th year, you know.
It sounds like a chip off the old block.
Yeah,
If you're not happy about something, you go and change it and you do it, you know.
But, you know, I look at it, and I'm sure you will agree with it, you know, he's done really, really well for himself. He's running quite a big outfit these days, which is in the mining side of it.
Brilliant.
For all the gear and that. But then I compare it to some of the guys that I went through school with, and even some of the people I see in Kalgoorlie now that are got degrees and gone to uni and done all this, and it doesn't mean anything. You know, it's what you've got in you, that drive that gets you to go somewhere. You know,
what's in the ticker and
that hard work and grit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Mick, I don't actually have this as a question, but I do know that on occasion over the years I've attended the Goldfields charity ball.
Yeah.
And you know, quite often I'm sitting there at the table having a few bevies, and there's you just bidding away, or you've sponsored a lot of, or put a lot of money towards Ronald McDonald charity house. I can't remember if you've put your names on the door of multiple rooms.
Yep.
There, isn't it? So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, look, it was actually 10 years. It was a ball just not last weekend before. I can't remember now, whenever it was. I don't even know if it's Monday or Wednesday anymore. It's just crazy. But, I've been a big supporter of that. 10 years, they call it Adopt a Room at Ronald McDonald. So we do two rooms every year. Yep. And so we've done that now. I think over the 10 years it's around $200,000 that we've sponsored just on that. But, then each year we have 2 tables that we bring staff and friends along with. And then on top of that, as you know, you have a few drinks on the night and you're in the mood and the old hand goes up. Oh, so, you pay ridiculous money for something that's not worth it.
No.
But it's the concept, you're doing it for the kids. So,
and the cause, yeah.
Yeah, but look, we love it. So every year, we didn't do it last year because we've got the Kalgoorlie office and the Perth office. We bring the Kalgoorlie mob down to Perth and we put them all up for the weekend, and that's how we do a Christmas function. But on the Friday, Ali always organises a cook-up at Ronald McDonald House. Oh, so awesome. We go in there, and we do a cook-up for the kids and the parents that are there. Yep. And it's actually a good fun night because you're in the kitchen, you're allowed to have a couple of wines and beers while you're in there, and a bit of music going. It's just so much fun, and
good atmosphere.
Absolutely. And then you come out and you see the poor little kids that are running around, and we always look at each other. I'm sure you guys say the same. You wake up some mornings and you think, oh, man, my life sucks, But you see some of those little guys there, and they still smile, they still laugh, and it's pretty tough, you know.
Yeah. No, good on you, Mick, and that's a great story, mate. Actually, your whole life and what you've told us today has been brilliant. And I see Rickland now. You know, you're talking about going international and the work you do, not only in Kalgoorlie but around the world now. And I think that's a great home story. You know, from Kalgoorlie, where I'm from too. So excellent, mate. Really, thanks very much for sharing your insights and your travels and your experience. It's been great to listen to.
Yeah, mate, it sure has. Last thing from me, Mick, is what's next on the cards, the next 12 months? Give us a quick little rundown.
Oh, geez, Josh. Well, we probably the Perth Training Centre, we just purchased a bigger property that was next door to us. So we're full steam ahead in developing that. Yep. And that's where Kurt comes in. He's been amazing in regards to...
he's been with you for 20-odd years, hasn't he?
20 years, yeah, or a bit over 20 now. Yep.
Awesome.
And so we're developing that. We've got, as I said to you this morning, we've got a couple of courses extra, but we've got one, and I won't say it too much because I don't want my competitors jumping in before I do, but we're going to develop another course, awesome. And but the prop that goes with that is going to take a little bit of time. Yep. So that is the plan. I'm not getting any younger, so probably the next 3 to 5 years is time to start looking at where I'll head in retirement side of it. But I think the trickiest part is, am I going to be able to walk away from it? Yeah. So do I walk away and leave somebody running it, or what do we do? So yeah, Ali and I got a few big decisions to make at this stage, but otherwise, it's full steam ahead. I think.
Beautiful, mate.
For the next 12 months for sure.
Beautiful,
great story.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Thanks very much. What an awesome episode.
No
much appreciated. Thanks for coming in. Hilly, thanks very much for co-hosting another bloody episode with me, mate.
It's been a real pleasure, JC. Yeah,
excellent.
Thanks very much.
Cheers,
Cheers,
guys. Cheers.
Thanks.
Well, thanks very much for coming and watching another episode with us here at the Gold Room. As you know, we're taking stories from the mic to the mine. See you next time. Cheers.